Another day, another protest against Donald Trump and Elon Musk actually finding and stopping massive waste in our federal government, right? But of course, the left is going to do what they do best and protest in mass numbers all across the country. And never mind the fact that this is something the American people actually support, just showing further how out of touch the Democrats and the leftists are around this entire country. And the only way the left could get even further out of touch is by being a host on The View. But before we get to these clips, don't forget to like and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
Democrats need to do the opposition, the resistance, whatever you want to call the folks that are against everything that Donald Trump is doing. We need to have a way of reaching people, whether it's social media, whether it's a website, whether it's what, so that people can understand what is happening. And I absolutely think we need to form alliances, and we can't just be groups, individual groups, right? Because Latinos are super upset by the fact that he's racially profiling us, that portraying immigrants like everybody's a criminal. Arabs now and the people who sympathize with Palestine are super upset because he's trying to treat it as a real estate deal. Women, African Americans upset over the DEI stuff he's trying to dismantle willy-nilly. LGBTQ people, well, we all need to come together and show them that we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore.
But people also have to get out of their echo chambers because, like, everyone was like, Project 2025, Project 2025. If you hated Project 2025, that worked for you. If you weren't super clear or you liked some parts of it but not others, Democrats have to be willing to go to uncomfortable spaces.
I think this is beyond Democrats and Republicans.
Well, yeah, you're right, actually, and I don't like the labels of all of it because I think most people are multifaceted and don't just fit into one bucket. But you have to have conversations with people who disagree with you if you want to build coalitions to push back, because you are going to find there are a lot of things Donald Trump does that I agree with, but then there are things I think are dangerous, reckless, and want to call out. So you have to be able to talk to people who, it doesn't have to be all this or all that, but find movement on the things that matter.
It's hard to talk to people who support people who think you don't matter in the country.
But it's not supporting the person, though.
But when you support that person, right, but it brings... Go ahead.
But I don't support that person. My point being that I don't disagree with everything Trump is doing, so we have to be able to have conversations, but we do agree on these things, so how can we all get together on those issues?
Well, when we find the stuff that we agree on, that's what we do. Yeah, right. But when we find the stuff that is disagreeable to the majority... Now, I didn't find anything of interest for me in Project 2025. I didn't feel like this was geared to us as a nation. I felt it was geared to very specific folks, and that bothered the poo out of me. But I understand what you're saying, and we do have to talk to each other. That's the beauty. That's the thing. When people tell you who they are, you got to believe them.
Let's go ahead and start with Whoopi Goldberg, right? She says it's hard to discuss things with people who think that you don't matter. Yeah, like all of the conservatives you've been castigating on your show for years, like all of the Trump supporters you've been calling morons and racists and sexists and bigots and homophobes, right? You have been putting the worst possible light on people that just disagree with you politically. But now, of course, that Donald Trump is in office, you want to come together and discuss things, but it's kind of tough because you've been treating us like garbage for years. Okay, so that's Whoopi Goldberg's mindset right now. But Ana Navarro, she's hilarious, right? We have to find some way to make people understand that all the stuff that Trump and Musk are doing are actually really bad for the nation, right? We have to talk about the Hispanics, the Arabs, right? All the different people that Donald Trump is hurting. And notice how everything she says kind of sounds like really racist, right? Every single person, every single subgroup obviously thinks the same way, right? They all hate Donald Trump. Yeah, never mind the fact that Donald Trump actually won the Hispanic vote. Never mind he made tremendous historical gains among the black community, right? And never mind the fact that Arabs actually abandoned Joe Biden simply because of the fact of all the crazy transgender LGBTQ stuff, okay? So to sit here and listen to Ana Navarro say that if only people were informed, we could then come together and make this coalition of everyone who actually opposes Trump. Yeah, that coalition hasn't really changed though, has it? And Donald Trump still won the popular vote, all right? Don't forget that, Ana Navarro, right? So you go ahead and put together your little coalition of people that go out and protest on a national holiday, but we're going to sit back and enjoy the spoils of something that is actually incredibly popular with the American people, as we're going to see here.
We wanted to have you on because you do a lot of focus groups. You really get behind the numbers, the poll numbers, to the sentiments of voters. And it's so interesting. You've been speaking with a number of voters who were Hillary Clinton 2016, Joe Biden 2020, and then went for Trump in 2024. How are these folks seeing the early days of Trump's second term?
Pretty well.
Really?
And they're reacting to it because they love the pace of change. They were very fed up over the last 4 years. They wanted action. They wanted results. They looked at prices. They looked at affordability, looked at immigration, and they didn't see anything happening. They still don't like what he says, but they like what he does. And these are Democrats now who felt that they were not securing the border. They were doing nothing to prevent illegal immigration, that nothing was actually happening. They wanted to see a reduction in wasteful Washington spending, and they're seeing that. So what they tell me is, I wish he would be a little bit less rude. But at the same time, they like what he's doing. They believe he's serious about it. And for the first time, they have confidence in the future, which is why you now see some significant shifts in the polling about the expectations for the direction in the coming years.
It's a big wake-up call for Democrats.
I'm waiting for them to get a message. I'm waiting for them to unify and to understand that to oppose and to be the resistance, which is what some of them use that phrase, that's not what Democrats in grassroots areas want from them. They may not want the approach that Trump is doing, President Trump. By the way, I now know to say President Trump. But they do want action, and they don't see action from the Democrats.
This is just like I've been saying. The Democrats are on the wrong side of every single winning issue. We want the border closed. We want criminal illegals deported. And of course, we want wasteful spending discovered and stopped in this nation. I mean, these are all issues the Democrats should be jumping on board with, but they're not. Instead, like you have Ana Navarro speaking of, we have this resistance we need to mount. We need to come together and fight against all of this. No, you don't. Get the message. The best thing the Democrats could do right now is get on board with this stuff, because this is what the American people want, and this is what the American people actually voted for, right? And as Whoopi Goldberg was trying to get to in that first segment, yeah, we could actually come together on things that we agree on and oppose people on the stuff that we don't, okay? But the problem is the Democrats, as I've said, are against all of this, which means they're just revealing themselves to be complete government sycophants who are just living off the teat of the taxpayer, right? That is the day and age we're in, right? The Democrats are no longer fighting for the people. They're no longer the party of the working class. And of course, we could argue that they never actually were, all right? But here we are in the modern day and age, and I love the missteps they're making. But of course, Frank Luntz isn't the only person to recognize this.
How are the voters who swung the election for President Trump feeling about his first few weeks in office? Our friends at Engages talked to some Arizona voters who switched from voting for Joe Biden in 2020 to Trump in 2024. And so far, they mostly like what they see.
I just think he's trying to get America back on track as quickly as possible, given the state that it was left in from the previous administration.
It feels more merit and transparency that I'm getting from the administration so far.
I approve of a lot of the stuff that he's doing with the border and everything.
He's put other countries on notice that were to be taken seriously.
For the most part, I feel like he's on the right track by keeping transgenders out of women's sports. That's number one.
All 11 Biden-Trump voters say they approve of Donald Trump's first weeks in office. What we are seeing right now is what Donald Trump campaigned on. Right. We've said that umpteen times now in the past 4 weeks. What he didn't campaign on was the Elon Musk of it all. That Elon Musk would be going in and the person with his team doing this and doing this at the pace with which they are moving. I want you to listen to what Jonas G., he is one of those Biden to Trump voters, said about that. Doesn't seem that concerned.
He's moving fast to dismantle the corruption, which there's so much of it. Everywhere he turns, there's stuff that they have to take out. One to one agency, and what 80%, 90% of that agency's been spending stuff that nobody would approve of.
I want you to talk about that, Isaac, but then just that last part, 80 to 90% of the agency spending stuff nobody would approve of. We don't know that because there's no accountability. Maybe at the end of the day, once we can actually look at it, perhaps that's going to be right. But we have no idea, which also speaks to the fact that there is such a fractured media consumption environment that is getting even more so. We don't know. I mean, Jonas G. is listening to, they said at the beginning, some mainstream media, but who knows where this information is coming from?
Yeah, and that's part.
So what you were mentioning earlier about flooding the zone, seeing the president all the time, every day, multiple times a day, which could not be more different from Joe Biden. And the question is whether that's what these voters wanted.
He said he was going to do this, and this is what he's starting to get done.
And he only has 4 years to do it. It's not like he can run again. He already did his first term. So some of these things you can't fix overnight. So he has to get started early on. He has 4 years, and he made promises in his campaign. He won because of those promises, so he's getting to work.
Yeah, and I was also struck in other clips, and I've heard this as voters, of the term transparency to describe Donald Trump and Elon Musk going on camera and talking. Somebody might be looking at their statements and say, but what he just said wasn't true. We fact-checked it. He's counter something that his own administration said an hour earlier. Doesn't matter if the president's saying it, it sounds transparent.
So this panel of voters that went for Biden in 2020 and then for Trump in 2024, they like what they're seeing and they approve of DOGE. But what's Dana Bash concerned about? Oh, they're not getting their media from the mainstream. They're not watching us necessarily. Where are they getting their information? How about from people who are actually reporting the truth, right? You can go on to X right now, follow a whole bunch of accounts that actually are more reliable than all of these media sources, right? All of these talking heads on these panels that don't know diddly squat about anything, right? However, I did like the admission of Dana Bash saying, yeah, Donald Trump is appearing on television several times a day, which is a big difference from Joe Biden, right? Who actually just came out, has spent a record 577 days on vacation, right? Away from the White House. This is truly amazing, right? This is what the people are seeing. Donald Trump is out there getting stuff done, right? He's flooding the zone, as they say, and it is exhausting the opposition, right? The left and the Democrats don't know what to do because he's actually doing things that the people agree with. And I hope the Democrats keep doubling down on all of this stuff because, as I've said before, I want to win elections and win them easily. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.